Blog Talk Radio.
If you like painting and saving, ask Sherwin-Williams and save 40% on paints and stains during our 4-day super sale, July 18th through the 21st. With 40% off our paints and stains and 30% off painting supplies, you can give your whole home a color makeover. But hurry, these savings are so super, they won't be around for long. Find your nearest store at sherwinwilliams.com/sale. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with John Blair, the director of marketing and public relations from Frannet. And Frannet is North America's most respected leader in matching individuals with franchise opportunities. And we're going to talk to John about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with John Blair, the director of marketing and public relations from Frannet. And Frannet is North America's most respected leader in matching individuals with franchise opportunities. Hey John, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Marty. Good to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, John. I realize, I've been familiar with Frannet for quite a long time now, and we've never had you on the show, so it's a privilege for me to finally have Frannet on the show. I've been following you a long time. We would like to ask our guests, where are you calling from today?
We are based in Louisville, Kentucky, so that's where I'm calling from.
Great.
The Derby
Is it hot
City.
there today?
Actually, it's there's a nice cool front coming through. We had
good.
been extremely hot. The 4th of July weekend is supposed to be beautiful, but
that's fantastic.
highs in the low to mid 80s, which is unseasonably cool for this time of year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Frannet has a long history, John, as we were saying earlier. Maybe you could talk a little bit, about the background of Frannet, because I've always thought you've had an amazing history.
Sure. We're actually a 27-year-old company. We were started outside San Diego in Carlsbad, California, by a guy named Howie Bassick. Yeah. And essentially what he did is he found a way in which people were looking for options to go into business for themselves. Right. And he saw an opportunity in franchise ownership, saw the way it was growing, saw the way in which franchises were really an opportunity for people who were interested in business ownership for themselves, but maybe were unsure of what business I should be in. They were, kind of cautious about all of the upstart and the initial work, and making sure, not everyone is Bill Gates, and not everyone is, has the next great idea, but they want to be in business for themselves. And so there are companies out there, franchise companies out there, who someone else has stubbed their toe and they've skinned their knee and they've learned how to operate this business, and now they can present that opportunity to an individual to still be an individual business person with the support and training and backup that a franchise offers. So, that was kind of the initial concept moving forward. And as more people across the country started hearing about this, and how we started sharing this information with other consultants, and Frannet slowly grew over the years, but we've seen the biggest boom in our growth really since about 2006, when new ownership came in. Howie was ready to get out of the business. He was ready to retire. So some new ownership, several consultants came in and bought the business, and we've really exploded over the last 8 years. We've gone from about 40 to 45 consultants at that time. Now we've got right around 100 consultants.
Wow.
We've expanded into the UK. We've expanded into Germany. We are literally in every single community across the U.S. where we can provide face-to-face service. When you're making a decision as large as going into business for yourself, we feel having that face-to-face contact and someone across the desk from you who you can read their body language and really develop a rapport with them. We felt like that's a very important, unique piece of what makes Frannet special. We've seen just a tremendous, and it also, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, is from 2006, 2007, 2008 really saw the economic downturn. So that presented a lot of individuals who were being downsized from corporate America, either by choice or by force, and were looking for the next opportunity in their lives. And what we find is franchising typically is a very good fit for a lot of former corporate people because they really enjoy and like the support and the administrative help and the training that former company provided them. But they've still got this. They've got this itch to be an entrepreneur. They can make it on their own. So franchising provides a really nice hybrid opportunity for them. So with the downturn in the economy, it put a lot of people as really prime candidates for franchising, and Frannet was in a unique position to be able to help those individuals and put them in franchises in a position to succeed, and that has really helped with our growth over the past 8 years.
It's such a great service, John, because we find that, we started this show in 2006 as well. We've realized that we do have a lot of people that have been downsized, and it's like you said, they came from corporate America. And we find that, so many of them, they just simply don't know where to begin because, today there's up to I don't know how many, 2,500 different systems and 80 different industries, and we find that they just don't know where to begin. Maybe you could talk to our listeners, about, how does Frannet work?
Well, what we do is, and you're right. First of all, you're exactly right. People really don't know what they don't know, unfortunately. So Frannet as a service is there to provide them the coaching and support and background to help them understand. First of all, what we do is we really understand: are they ready for business ownership? Take franchising out of the situation. Are they ready for business ownership? So we kind of help them answer that question first, yes or no. And we have a series of questions and consultations that we'll help them with to understand. Is business ownership for them, and if it is, let's look at franchising as an option. So we work with about 150 different franchise concepts, and we are constantly. I don't want to say bombarded, but we are constantly have inquiries from franchisor companies who want to become a part of what Frannet offers. They see the type of quality candidate that we provide other franchise companies, and we actually have to turn down about 200 concepts a year.
Wow.
Simply because when they present themselves or inquire about becoming a part of Frannet, we do our due diligence on them. We do heavy research on their FDD. We interview their franchisees. We see how well the company validates. We dig into their financials. We research their executive team. We make sure that the quality candidates that we're providing to this franchisor, that the franchisor is of the same quality as well. So with that said, we have a number of franchisors in a number of different industries. Like you said, there's as many as 80 to 90 different industries out there, and someone's saying, well, gosh, I don't know what is a right one for me. Well, we help them understand that. So we take our clients through a process. We have a proprietary assessment tool that we use. It's called a personal franchise assessment. It's an online tool. And what this assessment tool essentially uncovers is what we call their business DNA. If you've ever taken a Myers-Briggs test or a DISC test, that kind of looks at your personality. What the PFA looks at, the personal franchise assessment looks at, is really how your business DNA, so to speak. Right. So it looks at your strengths, your weaknesses, your budget, your lifestyle, your goals, how you handle people, how you handle conflict, what are the priorities in your life. And all of these questions establish a profile of that person. And that helps us understand a lot about that individual. So then we begin to dive through the PFA, understand if how well this is matching. And what you find is, well, actually one of two things happens. Either when we're reviewing the PFA with the individual and their spouse is there, one of two things always happens. Either the individual says, yep, this is me, this nails me to a T, I've never thought about it, but yes, this is me. Or they'll say, I don't know, and the spouse is over there saying, oh no, that's them that's exactly who they are.
Which is why it's great to have the spouse next to them, isn't it, John?
Exactly, and that's really one thing we strongly encourage is that the spouse is involved in the meetings because the last thing, business is hard. And the last thing you want to do is come home from a tough day and have your spouse there saying, I told you shouldn't have done this. I told you. They need to be there hearing the questions you have, hearing the answers the Frannet consultant has. And frankly, you can hear their questions as well. So once we work through that PFA, then we start designing their business model. So we are looking at what type of business are they interested in? How many employees do they want? How many units do they want? Do they want to work Monday through Friday? Are they open to weekend hours? We start to lay out all the parameters that define their ideal business. We haven't even talked about a business that matches that. We want to set up their ideal business model first. And then once we take that and we look at their profile and we design that business model, then we start to look at our franchisors who match that model. Because with 150 different franchises, typically you can get it down to about 3 to 5 franchisors will ideally match the criteria they've laid out in the business model. And now it's a matter of let's start interviewing the franchisor. Let's talk to their franchisees. Let's see if people are happy. Are they making money? Would they do it again? Let's look at the executive team. Let's go on a discovery day if it gets to that point. And really it comes down to, does it work? If we help define their budget, we can help them with financing if that's the case. And then it comes down to, do they feel like they fit that company? Because you're really, if you want to think of it in a more practical manner, you're kind of marrying into the family. Right, absolutely. And are these franchisees and this franchisor, is that a family you want to be involved with? So we're there to help them with the coaching along the way, because it's not only the literal due diligence that we help them with, but there's also for a lot of people, frankly, a little bit of a mental hill that they have to get over every once in a while. Some mental obstacles of, gosh, is this the right thing? Am I doing? We're there to help them and coach them through the mental questions as well. Wow, it's and really then ultimately when they ultimately invest in that franchise, and this is the beauty of that entire process is absolutely free to those clients, because we work more like an executive recruiter. Right. When we help a client discover which is right franchise opportunity for them. They invest into that franchise. The franchise pays us a fee. So it doesn't cost the individual a penny more or a penny less than if they came in and worked with Frannet, or if they went on Google and typed in franchise opportunities, had to do all of this research, all of this discovery on their own. Doesn't cost them a penny more or a penny less to work with Frannet.
You kind of wonder how, they do it on their own, John, without working someone like your type of service, because you really do know what questions to ask, and because Frannet has been doing this such a long time now, you really are the experts. One of the things I noticed is, I got involved in franchising, I guess you could say in the late 90s, and I remember back at that time there wasn't a lot of your types of service. There was only like maybe 2 or 3 that come to my mind, and there's more today. How do you, what's your unique selling proposition, as far as Frannet? It's got to be the brand name, it's got to be the history, it's got to be the experts. There's a lot of other, I notice, little companies today that say, okay, they're franchise consultants or experts, brokers, whatever they want to call themselves. How do you separate yourself from them or that crowd anyway?
No, and that's a great question, and part of it is our legacy. We've been around for 27 years. We've put tens of thousands of people in the business, but at the end of the day, it's all about the relationship you have with your consultant. A couple of things. One of the things that really separates Frannet from the other groups is we are truly about education. We are there to help our clients understand if business ownership is them. What we like to say is, heck, an educated no is a heck of a lot better than an uneducated yes. Sure. You hear so many times of people, and we've all heard stories, horror stories of people who have gone out and they've invested in, whether it's a franchise business or any business, or they've just made a poor investment into something. It's because they weren't educated about if that was the right opportunity for them. We help people understand that fact. But one of the key differentiators is our relationships. The government doesn't like to side with anybody. Right. But we have a partnership with the Small Business Administration, the SBA, the only franchise consulting firm with that relationship with the SBA. Great. We also have a national partnership with the SBDC, which is a Small Business Development Center, which is funded out of the federal government. We're the only such franchise consulting firm with that relationship. We also have a national partnership with SCORE, which is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. And again, the only such consulting firm with that relationship. So you look at these pillars of small business development across the United States, and those 3 organizations have chosen to partner with Frannet. The other thing that separates us, and perhaps, like I said, at the end of the day, the partnerships are great, and that puts us in exclusive territory with those partnerships, but at the end of the day, it's about how our consultants deal with our clients. And the big advantage that we have is that we are locally based. So by locally based, we have consultants in the communities where our clients live and work. Right. So if the client is in Atlanta, or they're in St. Louis, or they're in L.A. or Seattle or New York, we have a Frannet consultant in that market. Our Frannet consultants work in geographically protected areas. Right. So what that allows is that individual to go and meet face-to-face with that Frannet consultant. You're able to build a relationship, build a rapport, be able to sit across the desk from that person, to be able to see their body language. Right. The other thing, frankly, is that person knows that market. They know that community. They know what business opportunities exist there. I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky. If someone was to call me and say, "What's a good business open in Seattle?" I don't know, because I don't. Right, that's true. I don't know the personality of Seattle, and every single market has a little unique personality that maybe one business does well than another, or does better than another. So by having literally boots on the ground of people who know the community, they work in the community, they have referral sources within that community of people they've worked with, that's truly, at the end of the day, what separates Frannet. The assessment tool and the coaching, those are all a big part of it. But really, when you can sit across the table from someone, because the other thing is, other than maybe their house, businesses probably top 2 or 3 investments they'll ever make in their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you're making an investment that sizable, you need some coaching there and someone to help you, and being able to literally be able to walk arm in arm with someone through that process is a big key for Frannet.
Oh, absolutely. What types of franchises do you place people in, John? I mean, is Frannet in almost every category as far as franchising goes?
We are. It's rumored. It's hard because there's franchises come online and every day, and there's some that are a franchise that say they're a franchise that aren't technically a franchise, and so there's roughly 80 to 90 different franchises, and we represent just about every industry that's out there.
Wow.
And it's a lot of service-based industries.
Right.
Some of the more popular industries now are in senior care.
Yeah.
Non-medical senior care, because
right.
And it's all revolving around the baby boomers. There's a person turns senior age every 7 seconds in the United States.
Yeah.
So the products and services that cater to that group are going to do well. Residential repairs, a lot of people, with the housing market struggling the way it is,
right.
They're not able to move, but they realize, the housing market's going to come back, so they're going to make some investments into updating their home. Hair care is another one that's doing very well. Automotive, the automotive industry in terms of maintenance and repairs is doing very well. As we look at the numbers, and that's part of what our process too in the background is. We look at trends. We are constantly uncovering where is America moving.
Right.
What are the trends? So think about something like technology. With iPads and tablets and laptops, and just probably look at your desk there, and you've probably got some type of smartphone, tablet, a laptop. You may even have a desktop, and those things are going to break down, and they're going to need to be repaired. So we have seen that trend, and we saw that trend evolving. So we've brought on. There are technology repair companies that are franchises. Other things, we certainly try to find franchises that are immune to economic downturns.
Right.
Especially, and it was always a funny question that we would get in here. And during the economy, the downturn, people would say, "Hey, what's a franchise that does well in a down economy?" We're like, why would you want to limit yourself? Don't you want to find one that does well in an up economy as well? So, we also look into that. So, I think that one that jumps off is something like damage restoration.
Right.
Whether it's an up economy or down economy, you're going to have fires and floods and tornadoes and hurricanes. So people need to repair their homes and their businesses. So damage restoration is another one. So there's all kinds of opportunities that we are constantly seeking as America evolves, as the demographics of America evolve. We're constantly making sure that our pipeline, our franchisor pipeline, is filled with companies that meet the needs of Americans today.
That's fantastic. You mentioned Frannet's been getting, over the last several years, I imagine a lot of clients from corporate America. I mean, who is your typical client, John?
Yeah, that's a great question. And typically, for our bread and butter has been the former corporate person who has been downsized, who is probably 40, 50 years old, and is realizing I've still got a whole lot of life in front of me.
Right.
And I'm not ready to retire. I'm not ready to, I can play golf a couple of times a week, and I'm going to be bored in about 3 weeks. And they're looking to, what's going to be their next step. And like I said, the franchise opportunity provides a nice hybrid. The other thing that we're seeing, frankly, is people are starting to look at their investment portfolio. And a franchise provides a nice opportunity to diversify that investment portfolio. So all you have to look back is, 2007, 2008, and look what happened with the stock market.
Right.
A lot of people pulled their money out. Maybe the timing wasn't the best to do that. But people are seeing, trying to rely on the stock market as the impetus to provide my retirement maybe having all my eggs in one basket is not the way to do it. So I'm going to diversify my portfolio, take out some money out of a 401k and IRA, which the IRS allows you to do tax-free and penalty-free to fund the startup of your business,
right.
Which we've had a lot of people take advantage of. And now they've got another source of income. They diversified their portfolio, and now they've set them up for long-term, ongoing financial success through this business. But some other trends that we're seeing are, children who are, not say children, young adults who are graduating
right.
from college,
right.
and they can't find a job. And their parents are looking at them and saying, you know what? What I experienced of 25 or 30 years of working in corporate America and getting the gold watch, that's gone.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want my child to go through what I had to go through. So I'm going to help them with the money piece of it. I'm going to go into business with them, give them an opportunity to own their own business. They've got the education, they've
right.
got the drive. They just need a little bit of help. So they're calling that trend kind of dads and grads.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and that's something that has been slowly kind of taking off. The other one are people who take out of the equation people who've been downsized, corporate folks who've been downsized. There are people, frankly, who are still in corporate America today who are thinking, "Gosh, I've seen all my friends
right.
been downsized. I've heard about it. I want to protect myself." So they are investing in what we call semi-absentee opportunities.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's not a franchise. They have to be there every single day.
Right.
It's more
right.
of a manage the manager kind of situation. But they'll make the investment on the side that creates some additional income for them and also creates a safety net for them if and when something does happen with their corporate job. They're able to transition pretty easily without missing a beat from a financial standpoint, because they've got this business operating on the side, and allow them to grow that. That's the other big opportunity with kind of that semi-absentee, is to create an enterprise opportunity to add 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 units as the franchisee kind of manages the overall business, but you've got managers in there who are running sort of the day-to-day operation. So there's many different clients that we see, and like I said, the face of America is changing every single day.
Right.
But it's still, if you had to kind of describe it, it's still kind of that person who's come out of corporate America who is ready to make a transition in their life and sees franchising as an opportunity for them.
That's fantastic. What's in the future for Frannet, John? I mean, where do you see the company 3 to 5 years down the road?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. In North America, we are pretty well saturated.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the market
yeah.
in terms of coverage. We're pretty well covered. Our growth is going to be internationally. We're going to continue to add consultants domestically into markets that maybe we need a little bit more coverage, but international growth. We've expanded into Germany and the UK within the last year. We've got our eyes set on the Middle East, into Asia, Australia, Central America, South America, and because the issues that face America is a big economic driver across the world,
right.
and the issues that face America and Americans, the issues that they face every day, they're not unusual around the world.
Sure.
Maybe the unemployment isn't necessarily as high, but there are people all around the world who are going through the same issues that
right,
Americans
right.
here are going through, which is, I want to gain control of my time again. I want to, secure my own financial independence. I want to be with my family more.
Right.
And the only way I can do that is going to business for myself. So we will continue to expand internationally and helping people around the world, because at the end of the day, and that's the really great story about what Frannet does, is at the end of the day, we are putting people in business who are then putting other people, who are creating jobs for other people. They say the average franchise creates about 10 jobs.
Right.
So every single person that we help go into business, they've now created 10 new jobs in their local community. And then the residual benefits of suppliers and vendors that they also can help put into business. It's a great economic development piece. The economy is going to grow from small business, and everyone realizes that. It's about 75% of new jobs come from small business. So the more people we can put in business around the world, that's what's going to elevate the world's economy. It's not going to be some politician who has a great idea. It's going to be putting people in business, putting them back to work, and watching the world's economy grow. So that's where Frannet sees our opportunity over the next 3 to 5 years, is really taking what we've done in North America and planting the seeds around the world to allow other individuals the opportunity in franchise ownership.
It must be an amazing feeling for, your consultants too, John. You know what I mean? To be there, when they cut the ticket, and it's day one of the opening. I mean, that must be an amazing feeling for them, isn't it?
It is. And when you talk to them, the stories they tell are about the people that they affect. And you think about any profession. If you talk to coaches, what the coaches talk about is not necessarily the wins and the losses. What they talk about are the relationships they had with players. And that's really what our Frannet consultants talk about, is the relationships that they've developed over the years. I was talking to one of our consultants the other day, and the very first guy he put into business 20 years ago still is open today, and they celebrated together their 20 years in business. So this is a 20-year friendship that this guy developed because he helped put this individual in business, and they were able to 20 years down the road celebrate together their 20th anniversary of being into business for themselves. And those are the types of stories you hear all over the country and all over North America. Is I put this guy into business, and now I've stayed in touch with him, and now I see their kids taking over the business. So they, now it's crossing generations. And that's
a great story.
And that's
it doesn't really get any better than that, does it?
No, and it really does. And when you see the effect that you have on families, and our Frannet consultants are individual business people as well. They are operating their own business, so they understand the challenges that all business owners face. And so to be able to see someone succeed as they have kind of walked with them is a very, very rewarding thing. And that's, and I would say that at the end of the day, that's really what makes Frannet so special.
That's fantastic. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on Frannet, John? Any website you'd like them to go to?
Yeah, I'll tell you the easiest way is to go on to frannet.com. That's FRANNET.com, and you'll see a large maroon rectangle at the top of the page where you're dropping your contact information, and most importantly is the zip code, because that's directed out to your local consultant or to your listeners' local consultants. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, John, for coming on the show. And I'd really like to invite you back next year as Frannet continues to grow. I think you guys are great, and it's finally a privilege to get to speak to you.
Well, Marty, I really appreciate you having me on, and I'll come on anytime you need me to come on. I've really enjoyed spending some time with you.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, John, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now. We've had some incredible guests on the show. Today you're going to get to hear from Todd Leff, and Todd is the CEO and president of a franchise called Hand and Stone, and Todd has many, many years experience, and we always like to ask the veterans in franchising, what is your advice to our listeners as far as their quest to buy a franchise? And I thought Todd's response was quite brilliant. He narrowed it down to 3 questions you should ask, and we're going to hear that right now.
Spending significant time out there, really marketing the business, and that's where they can add value, to growing the business.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you've been doing this such a long time. One of the questions I was excited to ask you is what advice would you give to our listeners on buying a franchise, Todd?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I will give you my 3 questions that I tell every new prospect. These are the 3 questions you should answer in looking at any franchise. One is, do you believe in the long-term growth of the industry? Because it's very hard in an industry that's flat or declining to claw away market share from other established competitors. So me personally, I was looking for an industry that had long-term growth potential. Number 2, do you believe in the underlying business model of that franchise? Because you can have a great industry and have a business model that doesn't work. So you have to get into the building a pro forma, looking at what the potential revenue is and what that would produce. And then the third question I tell people to ask is, can you see yourself fitting culturally with the organization, whether that's the management team that you'll be working with at the franchise, the people you'd be working with in the business, and the other franchisees in the system. Do you see yourself being able to get along and work with those groups and have confidence that these people can lead a brand forward? So I think if you can answer all 3 of those questions yes, then you really have something that you ought to investigate carefully and proceed with.
Wow, that's well said. We have what's called the Great Quotes in Franchising. I think we're going to have to put that in there. I think that's fantastic advice.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next week with another edition of Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.